That's the tone I was looking for. There we go. All right, today's lesson from A Course in Miracles, lesson 267. My heart is beating in the peace of God. All right, let's see if we've got everything lined up the way we think we do. I can see the book and I can see Tom. Does not seem like he's here in Clubhouse with us, but I'm going to get started anyway because he knows this. He knows this stuff. It's not new to him. And my dad will show up sometime too. But I've got Adriana, and that's all that matters this morning. Thank you so much for the support. Appreciate that. So today's lesson is within the special theme area that's called What is the Body? And I read through the special theme because it's the thing that we use to kind of set the context for the lesson of the day. So my heart is beating in the peace of God, and the theme is what is the body? So what is the interrelation between this heart and our soul, the higher part of us that's connected to God? That's kind of what we're covering in here. And I'm going to read from the book, so if you feel like following along, you're welcome to. Grab your Course in Miracles book. I'm reading from page 470 of the book that I'm in, the blue book. If you've got the blue book, that's page 419. Excuse me, not 419. It is page 425. 425. What is the body? In fact, I think today I'm just going to read straight from the book. So I'm going to read straight from the blue book. Up on screen, though, I've got Tom's book. And so if you're following along on the video, you can see it there. Actually, if you've got a blue book, you could follow along in the blue book. So page 425, I'm going to read from the on-screen book so that it's easy to follow along with. And we'll have our lesson, and I think it's going to be fantastic. Here we go. The body is a fence the Son of God imagines he has built to separate parts of his higher self from other parts. It is within this fence, called the body, that he thinks he lives, to die as the body decays and crumbles. Within this fence called the body, he thinks that he is safe from love. Identifying with his safety, he regards himself as what his safety is, which he believes to be his body, right? Safe and sound here in my body. How else could he be certain he remains within the body, keeping love outside, if he failed to identify himself as the body? The body will not stay. Yet this egoic mind sees as double safety. For the Son of God's impermanence is proof that his fences work and do the task his egoic mind assigns to them, which is to separate the parts from the whole. For if his oneness still remain untouched, who could attack and who could be attacked? For his oneness still remained, who could be the victor? Who could be his prey? Who could be the victim if oneness still remained? Who the murderer? And if he did not die, what proof is there that God's eternal Son can be destroyed? The body is a dream. Like other dreams, it sometimes seems to picture happiness, but it can quite suddenly revert to fear, where every dream is born. For only love creates in truth, and truth can never fear. Made to be fearful, must the body serve the purpose given the body by your mind, but we can change the purpose that the body will obey by changing what we think the body is for. The body is the means by which God's Son returns to sanity. Though the body was made to fence God's Son into hell without escape. Yet has the goal of heaven been exchanged for the pursuit of hell? The Son of God extends his hand to reach his brother and to help his brother walk along the road with him. Now is the body holy. Now the body serves to heal the mind that the body was made to kill. Will you identify with what you think will make you safe? Whatever it may be that you think makes you safe, you will believe that it is one with you. Your safety lies in truth and not in lies. Love is your safety. Fear does not exist. Identify with love and you are safe. Identify with love and you are home. Identify with love and find your higher self. All right, that's the lesson encapsulation theme. What is the body? And here's lesson 267. My heart is beating in the peace of God. I'm reading from Understanding A Course in Miracles Workbook Lessons, which is A Course in Miracles plus some extra commentary that Tom Wakechild put together. And it's a very helpful thing from my perspective. It helped me kind of uncover and understand this book a little bit better. And there are some words added. So if you're reading along, what you'll see, especially if you're watching the video, the words that are in bold are the words that Tom's added. And I say them slightly differently that you can pick up on if you're following along with me. But these just help clarify things. And so I feel like it's an easier thing to take in first thing in the morning. And I think it's a great way to start out the day. And so that's why I do it this way. All right, lesson 267. My heart is beating in the peace of God. Surrounding me is all the life that God created in God's love. God's love calls to me in every heartbeat and in every breath, in every action and in every thought. Peace fills my heart and floods my body with the purpose of forgiveness. Now is my mind healed, and all I need to save the world is given to me. Each heartbeat brings me peace. Each breath infuses me with strength. I am a messenger of God, directed by God's voice, sustained by God in love, and held forever, quiet and at peace within God's loving arms. Each heartbeat calls God's name, and every one is answered by God's voice, assuring me that I am at home in God. Father, let me attend God's answer, not my own. Father, my heart is beating in the peace, the heart of love created. Father, my heart is beating in the peace, the heart of love created. It is there and only there, in the peace of God, that I can be at home. Amen. Notes to Lesson 267. My heart is beating in the peace of God. Tom has some comments here. You're a messenger for God and a conduit for love. Surrounding you is all the life that God's love has created. Will you view it with a loving and forgiving heart, or one that beats in fear and anger? On earth, your purpose is forgiveness for your world, your brother, and also for yourself. Forgiveness stems from recognizing that your mind gives all the meaning to your experiences. Let me say that again. Your mind gives all the meaning your experiences have, and there is nothing outside of you that can rob you of your inner peace. You have been given the freedom to interpret all the events you call into your awareness. Your mind determines what effect, if any, these neutral events will have upon your consciousness. All right, that is the lesson and the notes. Tom, are you with me?
Yes,
All right. How you doing this morning,
except
sir? Good
I'm
morning.
fine, except I don't think you finished the note.
Oh, really? There's another
I
page?
have to
Thank you.
turn a page.
I see it. Forgive me, forgive me. Forgive your world for your
That's what
erroneous
you meant.
belief. All right, there's two more paragraphs here. So let me just pick it up so that I don't lose that cadence there and we're still in the flow of this comment. You've been given the freedom to interpret all the events you call into your awareness. Your mind determines what effect, if any, these neutral events will have upon your consciousness. Forgive your world for your erroneous belief that something outside of your own mind had the power to make you happy or sad. You alone control your inner peace, for you are the ruler of your own mind. You are free as God created you to be or imagine anything you desire. Choose to be the truth and accept your role in the oneness that is the shared mind of God. Accept the atonement for yourself and allow your mind to rest in the peace of God. Thank you, Tom.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lee. So this we're on the theme of what is the body, and this one area that they want us to focus on in regards to the theme is my heart is beating in the peace of God. And we want to just become aware and that the atonement is this idea of the at one ment, and that the body, according to the Course in Miracles, is a fence that we built to prevent us from recognizing that joint oneness that we share with the mind of God. And so the atonement is accepting the at one ment for oneself and realizing that minds, which is what we are all connected. And it says that my heart is beating in the peace of God. Uh, your heart is, for most people, the way we've been brought up, the heart is the physical pump that the body needs to be able to remain a viable being on this game board we call planet Earth. So if we as individuated conscious want to be able to interact with other people, beings, things that perceive themselves to have donned costumes that create the illusion of separation, we need a body to be able to do that. So, the Course in Miracles earlier, when it uh, talked about what the body is, it also said that the body is a communication device that allows us to commune or communicate to the rest of the players on this game board what we value and why. And that it's important for us to realize that we can, the, depending on how we define what the body is and the assignment that we give the body, we will either be moving towards reawakening, or we will be supporting perhaps a fear-based thought system and supporting misunderstandings of what we are. So if we see the body as something that uh, is our existence, and that we uh, are the body and the body is us, we'll perceive it as something that we need to protect, and that the body will be considered our place that we need to maintain for safety. And it'll actually become a thing. A lot of times we hear this idea that the best defense is a good offense. It'll become an instrument for attacking and supporting. Whenever we attack somebody or something, we're basically supporting the idea that there's something outside of ourselves could impact our happiness, or there's something outside of ourselves that we need to take what they have so that we can continue to exist. The Course says we could reframe or change the purpose of the body to that of reawakening to the truth of what we are, and we can use the body as an instrument for love and forgiveness. There's a law that I'd like to, discuss a little bit today, because it's important. And we also have to realize that what we call life is really the importance of what we call life is that it provides a lot of experiences, and those experiences come from relationships. And we've been exploring relationships over the past week, and how we relate to other things. Whenever we leave the body, the value of your life will not be determined by what you have. People will not remember you for what you said and did. They remember you for how you made them feel. That's what relationships are all about. The heart is kind of the center of our feelings. Now, whenever we speak of the heart, we kind of tend to think of feelings. When we speak of the mind, or if we want to call a body or organ and associated with the mind, which we shouldn't, but if we did, we'd think of the brain as the center of intellect. Mind's much, much more than physical organ we call the brain, but the heart is the center of our feelings. So this law of that I want to talk about is the law of emergence. And the law of emergence states that you or my denial of the truth cannot prevent the truth by true identity from emerging. Ultimately, what you truly are must emerge. This lesson says, my heart is beating in the peace of God. And time and space in this game board we call the world of physicality, the world of perception, which is the physical dimensions of time and space, time being up, down, depth, or that space, and time is just the ability to change or move through that space. And as you do, take on different appearances or change. So time is the measure of change. Beliefs are the lens through which we look at and observe those other four dimensions. And it's the beliefs that create our world of perception. So what we're interested in is perhaps looking at, again, our relationship, but not of other things. What I'd like you to think about is your relationship with what we've often called and used the term ego. I'd like to define ego as not a thing outside of yourself, but rather a product of your own beliefs about yourself. So in this case, what I'm really saying is ego, if we understand it, is your beliefs about yourself. And if we have erroneous beliefs about ourselves, our ego will uh, believe certain things about ourselves, and it's going to argue for the rightness of those beliefs. So the ego is our beliefs about ourselves. They could be correct beliefs or they could be incorrect beliefs. So the ego, unlike what most people consider it, and we tend to beat up the ego and blame the ego for our misdeeds, but the ego is your hidden beliefs, your true beliefs about what you believe about yourself. And what we want to do is we want to have not an adversarial relationship with the ego, but realize that the ego is something of our own creation. The relationship that we tend to have, especially, whenever we kind of listen to the Course in Miracles or hear them beating up the ego all the time, is the idea that it's a third party, that it's something outside of our
How you
mind.
doing, buddy?
If we talked about it
Good.
being more in religious terms, maybe it's the devil in us, and that it's this voice that has its own opinion, and that we have nothing to do with that opinion. We, as
Gotta practice.
decision makers, are victims to some devilish voice inside telling us to do bad things or to be selfish
Well,
or
in
whatever it
7 years I've
might
missed a
be.
couple of days, but for the
But
thing that I'm
we
doing
need to
now, I got
realize that the
446 in a row.
source,
Today's
the
446 in a row.
creator of the ego,
446
is our
days.
own
I
beliefs.
started on July 4th,
And so what we want to do is
2021.
we
So all
want
I
to
have to do is
kind
go
of
to a Google
correct
search and say how many days
this
between then and now.
understanding of what the
The
ego
other thing is my
is
dad, that's
and realize that
2,222 days
the ego is
this
not
week.
some third party.
I know that's the
It's the
7-year one.
just the
I
composite
didn't know
of
those
our
two would
current
overlap in that close
beliefs
way, but they
about
did
ourselves.
on
A lot of
September
times we
22nd,
think the ego
2022.
must not be us
So it was on
because we wouldn't
222222.
do those things. But deep
Numbers are fun.
inside, within us, we actually have beliefs that
Steve.
support the idea of the experiences that we're creating. Those beliefs may not seem to be what you would want, and therefore you might tend to uh, think that perhaps the ego was something outside of yourselves. For example, you wouldn't think that you believed that you weren't lovable. That would be a negative belief, and therefore you wouldn't necessarily want to admit that. But that's what you believe about yourself. You wouldn't want to believe that you're a sinner, perhaps on a conscious or a subconscious level. On the subconscious level, that's your true belief, but it's denied on the conscious level. So we project that out. So we want to get this clear in our mind that the ego is really something that it's our own beliefs. And since we created it, we can also change what we believe about ourselves. The law of emergence says that change your beliefs, and that ego is going to change, but ultimately, the law of emergence is that what you truly are must emerge. Theme two was salvation. Theme two defines salvation as God's promise that you must reawaken to the truth. Theme two basically said that the put into effect the law of emergence. It said that what you really are must emerge because God's promised that you will reawaken, that you must reawaken to the truth of what you are. So the law of emergence is just a confirmation of that idea of salvation, that our denial of the truth cannot prevent our true identity from emerging. Ultimately, what you truly are must emerge. So when we realize that we create our beliefs about ourselves, that really means we create an ego for ourselves. And it's this misunderstanding and believing that the ego is a third party creation, not a product of our own mind, that we need to correct. The Buddha said that once you know the truth, your identity is sealed. You are an infinite focus of consciousness. Your life is not what has happened to you. You are not your circumstances. Life can only happen through you. What you are missing is the knowledge that by arguing for your own limitations, you are blocking the love that you truly are. You're building this ego of limiting beliefs about yourself, and now you're creating this voice for your beliefs. They may be hidden beliefs, and those are creating problems in your life. Blockages appear when you are not stepping up to your true spiritual magnificence. You're pretending to be a limited ego body or to be the body, which is something you are not. You've forgotten what you are, and you're just like the boy pretending to be a dog. The boy never really becomes the dog, but you've forgotten what you are and that you're the dreamer, and thus it's your own dream, it's your own beliefs. You're a spiritual being having an earthly experience. Only you can acknowledge this fact, since nothing sources your experience but you. But to do so initially requires really an act of faith on your part. You need to say yes to the fact that you are an unlimited focus of consciousness. As an individuated aspect of that one self, you're a feedback mechanism that allows you to witness the one self demonstrating being love in form. So I ask you today, and this lesson says, my heart is beating in the peace of God. I ask you to say yes and step up on the bridge of responsibility consciousness. Reclaim your divine birthright as the creator of your own world. Reclaim your divine birthright as the creator of your own ego. The bridge will magically appear to support your feet as you walk across it as the creator of your own world of provisional realities, world of perception that you create by interacting and layering over your beliefs over the four dimensions of time and space. It's that fifth dimension that creates our world of provisional reality, how we perceive and interact with the world. What will you choose to create today? What from the infinite array of possibilities out there will you choose to place your awareness upon? Whatever you value is what you will bear witness to. This is the truth about your life. There is a life beyond your imagination, seeking to emerge in you right now. That's what the law of emergence says. We must ultimately wake up to the truth of your spiritual magnificence. Say yes to the truth that is within you. Step out upon that bridge of creation and watch as your new loving life magically appears to emerge beneath your feet. What we need to realize is that our limiting beliefs have created a body that's trying to strive. It's kind of like
What?
what the
Can you turn it down a
caterpillar
little bit?
believes to be the end of its world, the master
Oh,
knows will result in the emergence of a beautiful
alarm clock.
butterfly. We need to be aware that
Alarm
butterfly.
clock.
We need to be aware that
How you
our
doing?
ego is that
Are you okay for going
caterpillar
next door?
striving to be
Okay.
the best caterpillar it is because your own limiting beliefs has said and defined it as a caterpillar. But deep inside you, the Holy Spirit, your
Was
higher
it
self,
seven, six,
this
7
true
o'clock?
identity knows that you're not a
6:59.
caterpillar. You're something that is your destiny is that beautiful butterfly. Trust and recognize the butterfly within. Your problem is that you believe you are a caterpillar. You believe you are an ego that you've created that is an ego of limitations. You strive to be the best caterpillar you can be. Instead, remember that you have a beautiful butterfly within you waiting to emerge. When you boldly step out on the bridge of faith, reclaiming your divine birthright, that butterfly will emerge. You will be the creator of the change you seek in your world, and fear will be no more. So, today, what I like to do is to do a little exercise to help us let that transformation occur and to help us heal our relationship with the ego so that the ego can, I'm going to say, know its place and realize that it gets its marching orders from you and that it's not your beliefs, your limiting beliefs that are to give you the decision maker and tell you what to do. You're in charge. Now, what we want to do is to correct that relationship that we have with our own limiting beliefs. And the way we do that in time and space is by fulfilling our function. In time and space, in this dimension of provisional reality, of the world of perception, your function is forgiveness, your purpose is love, and your destiny is the peace of God. What my heart is beating in the peace of God. That's today's lesson. So get comfortable and just relax and become aware of your essence, your spiritual being, the light within you. And since this lesson talks about the heart, let's see the heart as something like the lungs and being a pump that's going to pump energy or beliefs through our awareness. And in this case, we can even perceive it to be through the costume we call the body, since we're talking about it being, connecting to like the heart. And let's start pumping some energy or correct beliefs throughout that body, realizing that this is just an analogy because really we're mind, we're light, we're not the body. But let's take in the truth, the love of God, the peace of God that is our destiny as to what we really are. So breathe in the truth that you are consciousness, you are mind, you are light, you are energy, and release your own egoic belief that you are the body. Breathe in this idea that you're energy, pure potential, a creative power for your own world, and release the limiting belief that you separate, that you're an effect of outside forces beyond your control. Take in the thought that you are God's beloved child, perfect, whole, and forgive yourself for trying to force your child, your own ego, your own creation into believing that it was limited, that it was an effect of outside forces beyond your control. Take in the fact that you are the decision maker. You are the ruler of your own egoic beliefs about yourself. You are the master. And let the ego realize this truth. It is not in control of your decision maker. It's a servant of your own mind's beliefs. It's a servant of your own mind's decisions.
Hey, Grace.
As you do that,
Nothing.
forgive your ego, for you,
It's nothing. It's good.
your decision maker, had believed that it was the master. You had given it power to give you your marching orders. You misperceived and thought the ego was some force outside your mind. The ego was your own creation. It was not some devil trying to obstruct your happiness. It was merely a product of your own mind. The Course says, I am not a body, I am free. I am still as God created me. Nothing sources my experience but me, and nothing can cause me to lose my own inner peace unless I choose to allow it. I forgive myself for believing that there was some devil inside me, that there was some third party that was trying to control and rule my life. The only power that my ego had over me was the power that I had given it of my own limiting beliefs. The law of emergence says that what I truly am, what my higher self, the Holy Spirit, knows, that is what must eventually emerge.
It's getting chilly out there.
Since the ego is my creation, I can change how I relate to my ego. I can embrace my ego as my tool
Yeah.
to help me reawaken to the
How would you
truth
know?
of what
It's
I
around here
am.
somewhere.
I can give it new marching orders.
Where is
I
that?
can forgive myself
You chuck. If
for
you chuck
all
something
the
there, where's it going?
erroneous orders I gave the ego. The times I told it,
I mean,
you are a sinner.
I have no
You
idea.
are
I
a
just got a
worthless
report today.
piece of shit.
We were missing
You're
one.
not worthy of God's love. You're not worthy of being loved.
Okay, Grace.
There's something
Amanda's going to pick up
wrong
breakfast for
with
the
you.
boys right now from
This was
McDonald's.
not some
She asked if you.
third party's thoughts. This was my own as decision maker.
That's what I said.
I had told my ego that that's what I wanted it to go out and confirm in this world of individuated perception. I blamed my ego for my own decisions to argue and embrace the belief, the erroneous beliefs that I had done something wrong. I forgive my ego for all the things I blamed it that created my own misery. It was merely following my own marching orders. The ego is my creation, my beliefs, and I can overthrow, change, remove, discreate my own beliefs in lack, limitation, separation, and sin. I can embrace the truth, for this lesson says that my heart is beating in the peace of God. In time and space, my purpose is forgiveness. And today I forgive my ego for all the things I blamed it for creating my own misery, my own self inflicted nonsense, or what the Course would call sin. Those were my own misperceptions. Today, I forgive my ego for all the wrongs I thought it did that never really occurred. They never occurred, one, because they had no ability to change how God created. They only appeared to be real within my own mind's imagination. I'm the dream. I created the dream. I can change the dream. I can choose to wake up. The law of emergence says I must ultimately reawaken to the truth of what I am. That's the promise of salvation. We all must reawaken. And therefore, I can forgive myself for playing in this game of reawakening and getting caught up or sucked into the drama and forgetting that I was the controller of the dream. Now I realize that in my forgiveness, in my correcting my relationship with the ego doesn't have to be my adversary. It's my tool that I can use by giving it marching orders of the truth come from the Holy Spirit that can make it, reframe it into an instrument for my reawakening. Today, I demonstrate being love informed, and I tell my beliefs about myself, we're going to call the ego, the truth about what it really is. You are God's beloved child, perfect, whole, and complete. You are love informed. And being love, you extend that truth to all, including your own beliefs about yourself. Love is the allowance and the realization that you've been given, like everyone else, total freedom to be or imagine anything you want. You can be the truth, or you can imagine that you're a dog. and pretend that. But pretense or believing that you're limited cannot prevent your reawakening. So today, you can forgive yourself, love yourself. You can embrace your ego and kind of say, child of mine, my own creation, which is what your ego is. I've given you wrong orders. I've actually kind of made you an instrument for my suffering. And then I projected my blame and guilt on you. Now I realize I need merely to forgive myself for believing that I was a worthless piece of shit, that I was not lovable. Now I give you orders, new orders that represent the truth that come from my higher self. You are lovable. You are worthy of all the good things that this life was designed to provide and to allow you to do. You are worthy of forgiving all other actors on this stage. You are worthy of being and demonstrating
No.
love in form because that is what you
Naughty.
are. You are God's beloved child. And as
The
you
N word.
do that, you
Nani?
correct,
Grandmother?
patch up,
Oh.
change your relationship with your ego. And the ego becomes now a supporter, a tool for you to demonstrate the truth of what you truly value and why. But today, you as decision maker have given the orders to realize the truth about yourself. And so we let the law of emergence play out. Time and space, our function is forgiveness, our purpose is love, and our destiny is the peace of God. My heart, my feelings, the truth about myself is beating in me, and that is the peace of God. Today I rest in that true awareness of what I am. I reclaim my destiny as the peace of God. As decision maker, as you reconnect with the body and perhaps the beating of the heart, the breath, take in the peace of God, the truth of what you are. And as the pump of the heart goes, pump through your bloodstream, so to speak, that truth that you are the peace of God. And as you breathe, breathe in that peace of God. And as you exhale, extend that same peace, that same acceptance of what you are and what your sisters and brothers are, and extend that to your world. I accept the peace of God, for I am the peace of God. I accept the peace of God and I extend that same peace to my ego. I accept the truth of what I am and I extend that same truth to all my world. As you do this and you connect to that truth, realize that your relationship with your ego has been healed. Your ego is now your tool that you will now use to fulfill the truth of what you are. When you ask, what would love have me do? The ego will be silent, waiting for your higher self to answer the call. It will wait your orders. And when you tell it, I want you today to help me manage my fear, or perhaps help others reduce their fear, your ego will realize you are love informed, and that is what love would have you do. Today, we, rather than make war with the ego, create a new relationship with it as our servant, and we as its commander. And now we open ourselves up to the truth of what we really are. I accept the love of God, and I extend that
Gracie
love of
just
God.
pulled into the garage. She's
And
going to tell you
as
whenever you're
you
ready.
reconnect
Okay.
your consciousness, your awareness with the game token we call the physical body that we'll use today to demonstrate what we truly value and why. Let us, as we watch that energy percolate through the body, circulate as it reaches the soles of your feet. Why don't you send an energy bolt down through your feet, reconnecting to this game board we call time and space, planet Earth, and reconnect so that we can bring awareness of the truth and play the role that we've been assigned today, and use the vision of Christ to realize that all the actors are merely playing roles. And today, I will not mistake the role that someone has been assigned to play for the truth of what they really are. I'll realize each is on their own perfect path. I will accept the big picture, realizing that each are teachers, each students, each on their own perfect path of awakening. And today I will hold out and embrace the law of emergence and hold out the truth that they too, like myself, are God's beloved child with whom she is well pleased. Today I accept that truth and extend that. So today, create a great day for yourself and your world. Namaste. The God in me recognizes the God in you. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Tom. This is one of the most, all of them has been so powerful, but this one, it's like all encompassing. When you gave us this mind tour to our own, like, whole belief about the ego, and the lesson title is really holding it up. I mean, my heart is beating in the peace of God. And and you're right, my heart is beating in me. So therefore I am the peace of God, the peace of God. And it's for me it has this beautiful moment of releasing, because I have been dealing with again some situations that are in my it's funny because in my mind it's so clear that I don't have resentment, but as I haven't been able to figure out what is the core belief that is manifesting here, I haven't been able to feel at ease in my heart. And it's beautiful to have this lesson because it's a validation of some things that I was thinking in the past when I was starting this process with the lessons. That, oh yes, the mind is the key to open the door to just feel the heart, because the heart is where there's no labels, there's no words, there's only this feeling of expansion or peace or fear. You feel in your chest this huge, these two huge sensations. When you feel in love, you feel all the like, oh my God, this is beautiful, and you feel how your heart expands. And when you're in fear, the heart lets you know that you're in fear too. But it's not because something is being labeled, it's just that it's kind of an antenna of, yeah, you are in expansion or in contraction. And therefore, the mind needs to be clear for you to really see your true self, that it's the peace of God that you can sense in your heart. You have another set of sensations in your body, but at least in my point of view, the more like the more pronounced are the ones that you feel in your heart area, because the other ones had to do with like the body itself, in terms of processes that the body does, and they are related to emotions too, but kind of the bigger one, the the main ones that are love and fear, they are felt more precisely with the heart. So the mind needs to be clear, needs to have an ego that only realizes as the Holy Spirit, complete fully and without any lackness, in order to perceive the body as a vessel to be present instead of the director of the orchestra. The body is for you to acknowledge that you are here completely fully as the peace of God. And if you don't feel that way, or your heart is saying otherwise, it's because there's a belief systems there that are still trying to grab the grab the yeah the direction to learn that it's something that only needs to be forgiven. The way the heart goes to fear is for you. I mean, the way, no, the reason, I guess, why our heart feels fear is only for you to remember that you are present here in the presence of God, because you are that too. And therefore, there's something there that needs to be forgiven in the relationship with others or with things or the things. Yeah, in the relationship with all the concepts that you have in your mind. So the mind needs to be willing to detach, not to separate from, because love can't separate anything. Love doesn't separate anything. But love, what does love? Is refrain, forgive, and reinterpret everything, right? So your belief systems in your mind are the tools for the belief that you are in separation mode or in full expansion of what you truly are, that it's the peace of God. And therefore, the ego um, needs to understand that everything that it has as labels are just tools of communication, but not the true identity that that you are, that we are. And my heart, for example, has been feeling this week um, the concept of need, of needing people, or being need. Had been dealing with the concept of putting order. I have been asked to put order in my life, in my mind, and to understand deeply the concept of the mother and the absence of the mother as a concept, not just as a particular situation. These three things have been like my weekly, my entire week lesson: the concept of need, the concept of order, and the concept of the mother and the absence of a mother. But yeah, that is because my true self, it's waking up. I mean, it's how Tom framed it. Forgive the ego to be mostly the validation tool of your true self. And every single aspect in this week has been ringing my bells, and I didn't understand what was it. But is forgiving the ego. But to forgive the ego, you have to feel it in the heart, because the ego is not there to be dismissed from you. It's part of you. It just needs to be forgiven with the whole heart in order to the ego attach to it, and therefore use the content of labels and all those things only to see the true self that is in you and in everybody else. So the ego needs to be forgiven. The ego is kind of the symbolism of the mother, because the mother is the mind. So therefore, the mother needs to be forgiven. The mind needs to be forgiven. So the mind can really, really attach itself to the true self and be able to expand only those aspects that are the true self. I don't know if this makes sense, but for me, it's really beautiful. Well, I'm, I think that there's a belief system there that I am still, I mean, there's an attachment there in my mind for some reason, and I think it's a higher reason. I don't, because I don't have a clue where that can come from or anything, but I feel that I have been the feedback mechanism for men's heart. I mean, for men's like male heart. Like I have been always. I mean, the last thing that I told, but one of the last things that we spoke of yesterday, you and Millie, was like, is that I feel again in the position that I have to make my life around what Kurt's needs are, and I don't like it. But now that I hear this entire meditation with Tom, Kurt is myself. So if I am the feedback, if this body is the feedback mechanism of my heart, and my opposite is telling me that I am putting in trouble his mom because I am present, what is there in my presence that it's so threatening for him? So I am in that point of learning, because of as well his mom is me. So what is it around us, around this entire entanglement, that is trying to be manifest in order for me to see? And this is actually what Tom just expressed. The ego needs to be forgiven, but from the heart. I mean, you need to really take this lesson deeply. And I am going to choke up because feeling the heart is really strong. I mean, feeling the heart is painful because you have to detach from anything that you think you are and just feel the heart. The heart doesn't have anything else to give but peace, love, and yeah, peace and love. That's the only thing that the heart has to give. So if there's a conflict in your life, it's not because the outside world is trying to 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 break you up and take you apart or whatever. It's just you, your heart, kicking and screaming that it's out of mind, out of mind in the sense out of the crystal clear Christ mind. And it's seeing everything as a threat, and the heart doesn't want to see threats. The heart only sees love. The heart only can only see love. So if your eyes in the body doesn't see it, the heart is kicking and screaming for you to wake up, to stop using your body as the threat and start to use your clear mind to just attach to the heart that is pure love and peace, the love and peace that is making your heart beating. So it's beautiful because with all the uh, frictions that I have had with Kurt here, and all the situations that I have had with you, for example, Lee, with the thing in our communication process and the love or whatever. I haven't been able to like connect the dots because it seems like they are in two extremes of a spectrum. Because Lee, for example, is missing me and Kurt is pushing me away. Vera needs me and Laura wants me to live with you, with her. So all those things are myself, but myself in the relationship between my mind and my heart. So where is my heart? And I have to really understand that my heart only creates love, no matter what. So as the body is kept you here, is not for you to be prisoner of the body. It's for you to feel alive, at peace, and in love in the moment that you are right now, in the very second that you are breathing. You are in the presence of God. So there's no need of anything else but joy that you are here. Because right now you are experiencing love in form. There's no need. And if somebody outside of you makes you feel torn apart, and you are already conceiving all those people innocent, because for example in my case I know for sure that everything that happens with Kurt is not because he's trying to hurt me, and I don't see him anymore as a victimizer or as an abuser or anything. I don't see him anyway, but he is still showing me things that give me that kind of experience. So I know for sure that is something there that needs to be forgiven, but now I realize that it's not that I need to forgive more about me, that is forgiven. It's myself with the relationship within my mind and my heart, and that if I am here in this exact spot in earth, it's not because I am a part of everybody else or that I need to make a decision. It's because I am needed right now here, breathing here and expanding love here. So I have to be really mindful if you want to understand it that way. That if I am here, I need to put my mind in my heart where there's no labels but only love and peace, and expand only that, no matter what shows in my screen, because I'm needed here by God to to orchestrate the entire earth, if you want to think it like that. I am not with my body and my belief systems in my brain. I can't rule the world. The only way that I can feel the moment is heaven, is if I ditch all those things from my mind and I just put my mind in my heart where the Holy Spirit resides, so I can feel at peace right now, not tomorrow, not yesterday. No, it's now. I need to feel now here in my heart, because that's how God wants me to be right now and how He needs me to be right now. And I don't have to question even that. And thinking that my heart is one with God, it makes that my entire senses, my entire systems in my body, my entire tool assets in my brain are attached to that instead of belief systems. Belief systems are just labels and ways to communicate with others, nothing else. It's like then you forgive all the duality that you put in your concepts in your mind, and you just let it there rest, just to be used by the Holy Spirit to continue to bring you back home every single second. So I don't know. I don't know if this answers your question, but right now for me, it's giving me a moment of release of that sensation that I was having in this week. That it's kind of compressing my heart in a way, in a yeah, sensorial way.
Well, I've been thinking. Tom gave a very interesting way of looking at the ego. I I don't see it exactly the same way. There's no right or wrong. It's a different point of view, perhaps. Um, I adhere to what the Course in Miracles, as he does, says, and I wanted to say that my understanding of what the ego is a little bit different. It is not something that I need to forgive. It is something I need to recognize that is not the truth. It is an illusion, and it goes away so that I don't see illusions when the light comes. And the idea of when the light comes is tantamount to the miracle that comes, the miracle that comes over us. Where there was darkness, now we see the light. What is the ego? I'm reading now from Clarification of Terms about the ego. I'm trying to see exactly what the book says in its words. What is the ego? What the darkness was. Where is the ego? Where the darkness was. What is it now? And where can it be found? Nothing and nowhere. Now the light has come. Its opposite has gone without a trace. Where evil was, there is now holiness. What is the ego? what the evil was. Where is the ego? In an evil dream that but seemed real when you were dreaming it. Where there was crucifixion stands God's Son. What is the ego? Who has need to ask? Where is the ego? Who has need to seek for an illusion now that dreams are gone? I want to say that this is presenting a slightly different picture from what Tom was saying, but it doesn't make something right versus something wrong, because a, a, a lot of it, or most of it, or all of it, is about our point of view at a given moment in time. And just like anybody who is traveling up a mountain, going around and around and continuing to move up, the point of view changes, the mountain doesn't. And the point of view at one point in time, or one point in space, or one point in form might be different and will be different from the point of view that you have, that we have, in another space, another moment in a form of the mountain. So it doesn't make it more or less, it's simply different. And Tom's exposition was really kind of exciting. It was interesting. My own experience is I don't have to forgive. It's not for me to even think that I have to forgive my ego. I hope. In fact, I don't even hope. When the miracle comes, which is what this book is about, the force, the power, the junk that the ego pushes out in front of me, it just disappears. It's not there anymore. It's not for me even to be contended with. I don't know how this sounds to anyone else, but it's
But
what I believe.
you said,
Thank you.
you said, you said that when the miracle comes, but it's just that the miracle is there always. So why not forgiving the ego for believing that the miracle has to be achieved in time if it's there
Yeah.
already?
Well, can I just say something? Yeah, can I just throw something in there? I agree with Bob in regards that uh, this there's one thing I guess I disagree in regard. Didn't really say you need to forgive your ego. You need to realize you have to forgive yourself for the creation or the pretense of it, because the ego is, and what everything Bob said was just basically that the ego is misunderstanding about yourself. So the only source of that is your own mind. And so when we understand what forgiveness says, I forgive, quote unquote, my ego or my brother all the things that I thought he did that never really happened. So, you know, we always don't really forgive our brother. We forgive ourselves for believing all the things that we thought could somehow impact our own peace and happiness. So like whether you want to say the ego exists or doesn't, I don't really care. Just be aware that the ego and what the course and all those things are saying, it will use the word disappears from the standpoint that truth is truth and nothing else is true. So what ultimately happens as you reawaken to the truth, the misperceptions disappear And therefore, the ego, which is, I'll say, the embodiment of those misperceptions, fade away so that ultimately the misperception that you exist outside of that you're an autonomous being, separate and distinct, all fades away. So there is no ego, but it's this idea that I want to try and get away from the idea that the ego is some enemy of the people. The ego is your own creation. Now, the Course in Miracles talks about it, and it says the ego is trying to say it's the decision maker, and rather than accept the idea that it's the product of your own mind. Solve the problem where it is, which is your own mind, and stop projecting guilt on some devil or something like that, and realize, correct your mind, your own thinking, and your ego, so to speak, can become your friend. Did Jesus have an ego? Jesus's ego was the truth of what he really was. So the truth is your identity, and that's what we just need to do. So I don't have any problem with what Bob's saying. It's just you know, I guess you could call it viewpoint, but it's just what we want to, or what I want to do is make sure that you don't get the idea that someone, God, third party, created some devil that's trying to keep you in ransom or keep you doing penance. It's your own mind's decision, and that you're the owner. And the Course in Miracles is trying to reawaken you to the truth that the ego is your own creation. And just like the dream, if you're the dreamer, you are the controller. So, no problem. And I don't really see any big, difference. Not that I really care anyways, but, but it's just whatever you want. And this is the whole thing. Forgiveness always is forgiving yourself for your own beliefs, for your own misperceptions, for the idea that something outside your brother, your sister, your ego somehow caused you to lose your inner peace. That's BS. And so we have to go to the source of the problem. And if you want to baby step your way and say, well, yeah, the ego really did this, that's okay. That's all right. But ultimately, as Bob pointed out, the ego is just false beliefs about yourself. And since the truth is only true and the false does not exist, ultimately, the false notions, beliefs about yourself, and this law of emergence says that those will all disappear and you will emerge from that belief that you're a caterpillar into the acceptance of the truth, and you'll let that beautiful butterfly emerge. So, no, I guess I agree, period. That's fine. Thank you.
It's beautiful, but I did understand it in that very same way, Tom, and I do understand what Bob says also. I don't have any issues with that. But thank you for the clarifications. I think it's helpful for putting things in another order, that it's just another order. It is not exclusion of anybody's thought. And what you said now, and with all this exercise, I could really see a funny relationship here, because if I accept this truth that I am the peace of God, that my mind is clear in that, and that I am constantly coming back to my right mind. So the people outside of me are representations, actors of my ego. Where is my ego? But if I am understanding and accepting with this lesson that I am in my right mind, so I am the peace of God. So if I state the four actors that I have now on screen, I can reframe the phrases and look what I got. Lee, I thought before, Lee is missing me. Kurt is pushing me away. Vera needs me, and Laura wants to live with me. But if I change the me for the peace of God or the right mind, you name it, then Lee is, and I'm not saying that Lee is something, I mean, it's just my perspective on this screen. Lee is missing the right mind. Kurt is pushing away the right mind. Vera needs a right mind, and Laura wants to live with a right mind. And it's beautiful because now I understand what is going on. The identification, the ego needs to be really attached to the truth in order for you to understand what is going on with the people in your life, because the people of your life are just those validations of your creation. You created those relationships for you to remember the truth. Remember the truth that you are not a body, that you are free, and that you are here to express the highest perspective on the love that you are. Sometimes we don't understand why we go through conflict, because we think that I was baffled about, but if I don't see him as a guilty person anymore, why is he still showing up in my day-to-day basis with this content if I don't see him different than me in the sense of a child of God? Why is he presenting itself like this? And now I understand. It's just for me to, okay, let's reframe the ego then. I am back here in this space to see the very same movie with a whole new set of eyes, and therefore it all makes sense. And it's not using people like like if it was some sort of manipulation game or anything, but it's just for you to validate what is life showing for you. How is life being experienced by your ego? Is being experienced by this conflict or separation or whatever, because at the end it will boil down to one concept: or you are in a separation mode or you are in a oneness mode. And what I have been experienced this week is it's validating this. I mean, the concepts of needing, the concepts of putting order or give order to your reality, and the mother. The mother is the symbolism of the mind, and this is a perfect conclusion on it. You you will always be in this world, in a relationship, in special relationships. Are you hearing me? I don't know if you're hearing me. I lost the musically. I don't know if you're hearing me.
I think we're
Yes,
hearing
we
you.
hear.
I am.
We're hearing
Ah,
you. We can't hear the
ah,
music either.
okay, okay. I thought I lost connection. Okay, so yeah, if I am in my right mind, then therefore, what is out the outside world showing me? Because we cannot how they say in the we don't get to we need to not confuse the form with the content. The content will be only one, but your choice is what is that you see. Do you see the content of God or the content of fear? And if you're in fear, then, as always Tom said, what is that you believe about yourself that is causing this experience? Because nothing outside it's real. It's your manifestation. So, yeah, it's bringing the mind only to the attachment with love and peace of God. And your body is a tool to make you experience that in any given second, in every beat of your heart. You are with God. So thank you, Tom. This is a really strong calling back home. And home is not a place, it's just your clear mind that you have always been at home. And the people around you is showing you that. So I will have to still move forward with my life and make decisions and all of that. But at least for this week, I think my mind has given me a very cool, a very cool dynamics on how to re-engage the ego, reframe the ego with the right identification. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. To remember this dimension of space time, there's two laws. I haven't really probably mentioned them much as you make your way through towards reawakening. First is the law of obligation. The law of obligation states that your only true obligation in any lifetime is to be true to your higher self. The law of disempowerment is a second law that didn't really mention, or not just blurted it right out. But the law of disempowerment states that you lose your power as a deliberate creator whenever you claim or blame something or someone else for how you feel. You need to trust your higher self and watch your feelings. By checking in with your feelings, you will know if it's your ego arguing for its rightness or if it's the Holy Spirit advising you as to how to restore your inner peace. In this fear-based world of the mass collective conscious, we want to try and avoid the blame, shame, and guilt game of our fear-based thought system and avoid being manipulated by it and avoid using it to manipulate others. Because in reality, there's no victims or victimizers. We're all willing volunteers. And, I thought those two laws, I really don't have time to really get into them, but they're important ones to realize. And that really comes back to what is your purpose in any lifetime? Uh, Ultimately, on a big picture level, it's to embrace the uh, promise of salvation, and that's the reawakening to the truth, although we're all been given all the time we need. So you don't have to rush, but it's, your decision. So those two laws, I hope, maybe later on we'll get into them a little bit more and explain what we're talking about with them. But uh, remember, ultimately, everything's unfolding. Whatever happens are just experience you've called into your awareness to learn and grow. What the lesson is, it's for you to determine. But you're on your own perfect path. And just remember that if I was you, or if Lee was you, whatever decision you make, I, he, or whoever would have made exactly the same decision, because the decision that you make is going to be the most rational decision to minimize your fear based on your past, your beliefs, your past experiences. And so those things are always what they are. And if I was you, I would have had exactly those same past experiences, beliefs, and uh, I would have therefore made the same decision. So there's no blame, shame, or guilt. We all would have done exactly what you did, and we're all on our own perfect path. So now we can lighten up on ourselves, and uh, we, you know, if you decide, like, whenever I go to if I were going to the San Francisco, I might want to take a side trip to the Grand Canyon. You might want to jump on the plane and get right to San Francisco. When we realize we're all going to reawaken, I don't have to begrudge you for your decision to jump on that plane while I decided to take a side trip to the Grand Canyon, or hell for that matter, until I eventually reach the ultimate goal. We're all on our own perfect path. Just trust in that big picture, and everything will work out. Thank you.
The floor is open. I realized how I killed the music. I'm going to get that going again. But thank you guys so much for joining us here this morning.